Hello, welcome to this video. I'm going to talk about this keyword in JavaScript. This is a very fundamental concept in JavaScript programming, and by the end of this video, we'll have a solid grasp of how this keyword behaves in different contexts and its common use cases, and how you can avoid common mistakes. So when we talk about this keyword in JavaScript, we are referring to a special identifier that represents the current execution context, or we can simply say that this refers to objects inside JavaScript. So to verify this, let's console log the value of this in the main scope. So log this, and you can see that it currently refers to the window object. So in the global context, when you are outside of any function, like in the main scope, this refers to the global object. And so in browsers, this is typically the window object. So the global object in browsers is basically known as the window object. And if let's say if we call the this keyword, if we check the value of this keyword in the execution in the context of functions, and the function is the inside the main scope out. So if we, let's say we do a function call, again you can see that the value of this refers to the window object, because this my func is also in the used in the main scope, and the main and this itself refers to the global context. That is why this keyword refers to this window object. Let's see now things get interesting when you use functions and when you write function inside objects, and you see the value of this. So this typically, the value of this changes when you use that. This keyword changes when you use it inside different contexts. So let's write a name over here, XYZ, and let's give age like 22. Yep, objects are nothing but key value pairs. So we have a key over here and we have a value over here. So let's write a function over here, and any function that is written inside an object is known as method. So that is why we say that, and when we are talking about this keyword, we say that objects and methods go hand in hand. So basically what this means, you will see shortly. Let's call that method with help of object. So, and now you can see that this keyword refers to the object, because it is being called inside the context of this object. That is why it refers to the my object. Let's see what it does when we create a variable, let's say object2, and we store the value of my obj dot my func over here, and let's do a function call to the my object, to object2. Let's see what it does. Now you see that this behaves differently over here. This behaves differently. And why is this happening? Because this variable has its context in the main scope. So when you are actually storing the value of this function in this object, so this object refers to the window object, because it is initially being called in the main scope. That is why the value of this changes for this objects. So one needs to be aware of how they are choosing, how they are calling function, and the context that this is being called in. And you can use methods like call, apply, and bind to change the context of this. And I'm going to talk about that in a separate video, like how you can use call, apply, and bind, and that in itself is a very interesting concept. So let's see how this behaves when we use arrow functions. And it is another interesting thing that you will see. and let's keep is let's say we take 20 as of now, and my func, let's give it another name, my func, let's say 2. Okay, fine, that is good. And console log value of this. Okay, let's call this my obj2 dot func. Okay, great. So now you see that okay, so sorry, we made a function again over here. Let's make an arrow function. Good. Again, now you can see that my func2 refers to the window object. And why this is happening? Because the arrow function does not have its own context. So what is it does is that it refers to the context where it is being called. And since this is being called in the main scope, that is why it is referring to the window scope. And here, where when we are using functions, so then the function has its context inside the my object and has its own execution context. That is why it refers to the my object thing. But here, since arrow function does not have their own execution context, that is why they refer uh, to the scope that they are being called in. And to verify let's do this. Let's okay. So let's first comment out this, and let's see if what happens when we write over here this dot name comma this dot is. So you can see that we got the age and the name of this object of the my object, my obj object. But what happens when we try to access the name of the name over here and the age over here? Okay, so we got syntax. Okay, sorry. Okay, comment on this. So you can see that the name and the age is undefined. Why? Because the arrow function refers to the window object, and the window object does not contain any name or any age. And if I say let's okay, that is fine. And this is how this behaves differently in different execution contexts. So if I talk about some of the best practices that can be taken and that can be taken into consideration when we use this keyword. So one should be always aware of the context in which this is used, this keyword is used. Okay, and like you can use call, apply, and find to change the context of this, and I'll be shortly making a video on this. This is a very interesting concept, and you will get to learn a lot of things. And make sure that when you are working with objects, use regular functions and not function expressions, or let's say arrow functions. Okay, and this is all about this keyword in JavaScript. I hope that I might have cleared many concepts of yours about the confusion that uh, that may have been inside your head about the disk keyword. So, in conclusion, you can simply say that when someone asks about what disk keyword is actually, so this refers to objects in JavaScript, and this let's say this refers to the current executing uh, executing objects in JavaScript, and its execution context and its value can change depending on the context that is being called. called in. Like you can see that when this was used over here, it referred the window object because we are using that in main scope. When used inside the my func, then again it referred to the window object because the my function was called in my scope in the main scope or in the global scope. But when you're using this keyword inside and method inside a method that is being written inside that is written inside my obj, then this keyword over here refers to the my obj object, and you can access the properties of the object of the obj object. Like can when I console log this dot name and this dot is, it gave me xyz22. And when if we uh, copy the method inside a variable that is written in the global scope, again the this keyword refers to the global object, or let's say window object. Because the obj2 has been written in main scope and it refers to the window object, that is why the obj2 function also refers to the window object, and then the execution of this keyword changes over here. Again, if we in place of a regular expression, if we use function expressions or arrow functions, again the value of this changes because the arrow functions does not have their own execution context, and that is why when they are executed, they take the context of their surrounding. And since it is written in the main scope, again that is why the my func2 refers to the window object. And if we try to access the name and the age over here, we it says that it is undefined because the name and the age inside my obj2 cannot be accessed by within the arrow function because of the execution context. And talking about the best practices, you need to be aware about how this keyword is used and in which context that is used. And you can also use call, apply, and bind data methods to change the execution of this at the context of this. And while working with objects, make sure that you use regular expressions and not function expressions or arrow functions. So this was about this keyword in JavaScript. I hope that you like the video. That's it. Thank you.